getting, Shay.
3,
Right on.
4,
Uh-huh.
5,
Up a little bit higher.
6,
That looks better. Yeah, go.
7.
So is current performance it? Is that as good as our athlete can possibly perform that push-up or that squat? Their technique is going to be subject to how we assess their capability, but how do we categorize that? It's really important because if we don't know where we are, then we don't know where we're going, and that is going to prohibit us from goal setting. And we want to be able to set goals for our athletes in their performance of each exercise. So I'm going to share with you how we categorize exercise performance in autism fitness programming so that we can get our athletes to be moving their best, becoming stronger, more stable, with better motor planning across all of our foundational exercises. Hey everybody, I'm Autism Fitness founder Eric Chessen, leading the Movement for Movement, and we are going to be talking about the 3 categories or levels of exercise performance, and this pertains to any of our autism or neurodivergent athletes. It even pertains to neurotypical athletes as well. How well can we currently perform that band or cable row, that push-up, that squat, that farmer's walk? So we always want to have baseline data, meaning how is the athlete performing the exercise right now, and what type of support or even progress we can make with that exercise. Because if it's always going to be the same level of performance every single session, every single set, every single repetition, then there's never going to be improvement. And if we're still stuck at the same level of performance every time and we are not coaching and supporting that athlete towards meeting a new goal, then it's not really going to help them physically. So if it's the same thing every time, we're not going to see any type of benefit or development in strength stability and movement planning. And one of the biggest mistakes or misconceptions is just, oh, if they keep practicing it, then it'll just get better over time. No, they need to practice it with the appropriate amount of support or modification and eventually progressing the exercise when it makes sense, when it's safe and when it's appropriate, so that they can actually derive, say it with me now if you're familiar with the channel already, a training effect where the exercise serves its purpose and has the athlete become stronger, more stable, move better, and this can be generalized into their daily living, into their lives, so it's actually meaningful. So when we talk about the 3 different levels of exercise performance, we have standard, we have modification, and then we have progressions. Now, standard in autism fitness, in the world of autism fitness, standard means that the athlete can perform the exercise for 3 full sets, somewhere between 8 and 12 repetitions with minimal support. They can do the exercise independently. Their motor control is safe. Their motor control and tempo looks really good. So they have full body control over that particular movement. They are not moving too fast. There is relatively little, if none at all, extraneous movement. It's not jerky. The athlete is not losing balance, so they are stable and sustained throughout that set of exercises for multiple sets of that particular exercise. That's standard, and standard is what we want to achieve, or what we want our athletes to achieve eventually. Now, it may seem with some of your athletes, definitely is the case for many of my athletes, that they are far from achieving standard performance. They're still at a modified level of that exercise. Totally fine. This is in both description and in actuality where we're meeting the athlete where they are with their current capability with that exercise. So we have standard performance as a goal. We may not be there yet. And if we're looking at standard as where our achievement is, we have two different standards that we have, or 2 different progressions, I should say. We have progression towards standard, that means that the athlete is currently performing a modified variation of that exercise. So for example, the athlete is doing a squat to an elevated box or an elevated platform because they're not yet able to squat below parallel with control. Fine, it's something that we do all the time with many of our athletes, but in order for them to move towards standard, you have to do it. It can't just be, well, we're just going to wait it out until they get it. That's not how it works. We need to modify the exercise, simplify it, and allow the athlete over time to develop the strength and motor control along with our positive coaching and support with behavior-specific praise, and with giving the athlete choice over the exercises. Over time, the movement pattern is going to improve as long as we are coaching to what the athlete is currently doing. So standard is where we want to get. How do we get there? We have progression towards standard. That means a modification. And gradually we are reducing the modification. Maybe we're making that box lower and lower for that athlete until they're able to squat with control below parallel, where we're going to get the most activation of their posterior chain, glutes and hamstrings, so those legs get stronger. This is a process. It can take a while, but as long as we are at the pace and capability of that athlete, gradually reducing that modification, the athlete's going to get stronger, and eventually they're going to reach standard. And then we have progression beyond standard. This means that the athlete has met standard performance. Let's stay with that squat for now. The athlete is able to squat for 3 sets of 10 consistently over 2 or 3 sessions. Okay, great. Now we can start adding weight to that. So we can have the athlete hold a kettlebell and he or she is squatting below parallel. And now the exercise is even more effective because they're squatting with weight. They are getting stronger and stronger. The strength endurance, the stability is continuing to grow. So that athlete, whoever they are, is going to continue to derive the benefits of that particular exercise, whether it's a squat or a push-up or a band row. And it's important that you understand the progressions and just as, if not more importantly, because progressions are easy, the modification and the compensatory movements that are associated with each one of these exercises. So it's not a case of just, well, pick the exercise and go ahead. We have to understand the common ways in which the athlete can engage in compensatory movement through no fault of their own. If you see this shaking, it's because my cat Flashes right now is trying to knock over the tripod because he thinks he's the director and he thinks that he is able to control the camera right now, which is partially true. So what we want to recognize is that for each athlete, we have to understand their baseline performance, and then we have standard. What does this exercise look like when it is being performed safely, correctly, and independently? And then we have our 2 progressions. We have progression towards standard, where we're still using a modified variation of that exercise, which is probably going to be a lot of your athletes. I know it's a lot of mine. And then we have progression beyond standard. Progression beyond standard is where the athlete has met that 3 sets of however many repetitions, usually 10, for 2 or 3 sessions, and now it's time to start adding weight or start adding repetitions. Progression is always easy, but it's number 1, recognizing or assessing the athlete's current baseline capability with that exercise, matching that with what is the standard performance independent for this exercise, and then how do you need to modify and what modification steps you need to take so they get to standard. How do you progress towards standard, meaning gradually reducing the level of modification or support, at least physically, and then progression beyond standard, where we start loading up that exercise, adding resistance, adding distance in the case of a farmer's walk or a heavy carry or a sled push, adding repetitions, going from 8 to 10 repetitions. Typically we stay in that 8 to 15 range. And this is how our athletes, this is how anybody, but in particularly our autism and neurodivergent athletes, because that's who we're talking about right now, are going to get stronger, more stable, and be able to generalize that strength training into their activities of daily living. I'd love to know what you think. Before I finish off, because I'm going to forget, please like, definitely subscribe, share these videos with someone for whom it might make a difference in their training, in their coaching, and maybe even having that light bulb moment of, I should be providing strength and fitness programs for my neurodivergent community. And speaking of that, if you are ready to take on coaching the neurodivergent individuals in your community, wherever that is in the world, then it's time for you to get involved with the Movement for Movement and become an Autism Fitness Certified Pro. Link right here, autismfitness.com. You can learn all about our courses, and you can register and begin your coursework immediately. Start your journey to becoming one of our worldwide Autism Fitness Certified Pros. I'm Autism Fitness founder Eric Chessen, leading the Movement for Movement. Would love to know what you think. Please leave comments in the comment section below. Leave your questions also. I love answering them. It's one of my favorite things. Thank you very much for watching.